Boom. Morning, afternoon, good evening, good day, and good night to you all. Hopefully you're all having a lovely day. It's very awkward reeling off the thing when I know the only person in chat is someone I was talking to literally 2 minutes ago. But that's cool. So, it's world building time. I'm not usually online on a Wednesday, but I cancelled Tuesday's stream because I was all and then I was looking at it and I was like, I've cancelled like 6 streams in the last 2 months. That's nonsense. And so I'm doing a catch-up stream where I get to do world building. And that means that if I want to do art on Sunday, or Saturday even, I can, without feeling guilty about it. It's good to hear. It's been too long. It's been so long. 2 entire minutes, 120 seconds. So long. It's been such a long time. Oh god, oh god, I have to close those. It's a really good thing I actually basically can't see them up top. This is why it's good. Alright, so the plan is so basically on Saturday, like 6 or something hours after, 5 hours after I finished my stream on Saturday, a new challenge started to talk about plants. And because I was asleep, I didn't see it until another 6 hours later, because I was asleep, because I have a bad sleep schedule. And also because I am Australian and I miss things. And then, of course, Sunday stream is my gaming stream, and so no world building allowed, except for when I get distracted and start talking about, like, you know, elves again. Again with the elves. This is not the pin that I wanted. Yeah, dare I sleep, heathen, right? Sleep is basically illegal. Shut up. Shut up. Shut your home mouth. Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. Alright? I'm trying my best. I do my best with what I have, except maybe pie. Excuse me? Do you know me? Day, do you know? Day, have you met me? I want you to look my general video footage in the eye and ask, do I like pie? Cause you've met me, right? This hair clip is not going where it's supposed to. That'll do it. Oh, it'll look a mess. Like, seriously. Seriously? Seriously. Okay, we have not met. After everything that I've said, you actually think I like pie. I don't. I do not. I do not. Definitely not meat pie. Meat pie? Disgusting. Haven't actually had fruit pie. I should do that. Meat pie? Bad. Meat pie? Very bad. I do not like meat pie. Meat pie is disgusting. Just gross. Can't handle that shit. It's basically like pureed meat. That shit's nasty. I'm not putting meat. I'm not gonna eat meat that I've put in the blender. Meat is already kind of icky sometimes. You're putting the meat in the blender and then you're putting it into the pastry. The pastry, good. The meat, bad. Do not blender the meat. Bad. Fruit pie, I don't know. In theory, it sounds kind of neat, but I haven't bothered. One day I'll get there. I'm working on it. Anyway, plants, which is not food, is plant. The challenge is basically to avoid talking about the fact that I don't eat food and to talk about plants. Where the only Christmas mince pie, my family doesn't do that. Like, my family's like pretty English, so to speak. We don't do Christmas mince pie. So, do not put the pie in bar form. Again, pureed meat is gross. Don't do it. Oh, don't do it. But the only basically thing, because like sometimes the challenges they're like kind of specific. This is pretty broad. Write about an important and interesting plant in the setting. It could be a plant muster. It could be it's mince in gravy. It's not puree. Mince in. I like mince. I do not. I'm not a huge fan of gravy. And we've established I don't like sex dolls. This isn't. We're not going to spend the entire stream talking about the fact that I don't eat food. Exactly. Don't just be Australian, or you're gonna have Isaac Yu-Gi-Oh 5D style on there. I was supposed to use Duel Runner. Exactly. I've downloaded Duel Links. I'm relearning how to play Yu-Gi-Oh. I'm gonna kick somebody's ass. This is the way. It took like 4 hours to download, dude. I lose my mind. But yes, plants. I know. You know. Everyone here knows. Oh god, I would though. Anything could happen. The future is open. Things may happen, who knows. But okay, so like they give a couple of examples for the ways that like the plants could be like interesting or important in the setting. And it can be plant monsters. I don't actually know what the gloomflower is, so I'm not gonna bother learning what that is. Oh, it's a cobweb press thing. That's why. It could be a building thing, you use furniture, clothes, weapons, even magical artifacts, or medicine, drugs, food, you know, all that kind of shit. You can use plants to do a lot of things. And that's basically it. Just write about a plant. Which is cool. This is neat. I've always been bad at species articles. Of the articles that I have had to do for like challenges in the past, species is up there as my least favorite template because I just don't know how to write. Writing is hard. Because like I'm looking at this going, the elf article was a pain. The dragon article was okay, I guess. This article is not good. The Kintalwi, not good. Kostra Bear, fine. The Atom, it's fine, I guess. Primordial, neat, but basically not even a species article. And then the Gemstone Crab is okay. But, like, they're not... It's a land of contrast. It's not very good overall. You know, it's fine. And only one of those is a plant. And it's a berry that does not matter. And so, with this peculiar plant, which I haven't even named, because that will take effort, and I haven't put that in yet, because I have not done anything since the challenge was announced. I have done nothing. I have done nothing. But I have the idea for it. Basically, because the challenge is being very fast and loose with what a plant is. So, for instance, it has already been firmly established that even though fungi, like funguses and mushrooms, are not plants, like taxonomically or whatever, they are, in the colloquial sense, a plant, right? And like a monster being, like what would it say? It was like the mushroom folk. That's a plant monster. That is a like living, breathing organism that is not like that's not a plant. Not really. Not kind of. You know? And so, in extension, even though coral are not plants, like that is not what a coral is. A coral is not a plant. In the scientific sense. I consider it a plant. In terms of like, yeah, it's kind of like a plant. It doesn't really move a whole lot, you know, it looks pretty, poof. It doesn't move a whole lot. That's plant, baby. And thus, magic coral. That's the plan. The plan is to write about magic coral because I don't have the page up that will let me show the thing. Let me pull this up and blind myself with the menu. So there's oh wait, I really wish that bar did not take up as much space as it did. I don't know how to articulate that. Anyway, this island over here, this weird person-shaped blob, is the island of, I believe it's called Hidzalva, which I say like I don't know, because I kind of don't, but I'm pretty sure this is Hidzalva. And the main thing about Hidzalva is that it did not exist 400 years ago, and now it does. like, the collision happened, and the fabric of reality glitched a little bit, and this chunk of seafloor just went, whoop, just went, nyum. And now we have an island. It looks people-shaped because, I don't know, man, listen. It looks cool that way. But, like, it's just a chunk of seafloor. It is not lush forests of actual trees. It didn't have any native bird population. It like, they've been introduced because they fly over from the mainland. Like, it didn't have trees, it didn't have flowers or anything, but it did have a shit ton of coral because it was the sea floor, and that's coral time. Is the music really quiet? Why? It's not even showing up on the thing. Bruh. There it goes. It's being really quiet and I couldn't hear it. But yeah, so like basically, chunk of seafloor went whoosh, and all that was left, like, you know, fish died, no water. The coral survived because I want there to be cool coral. And so basically, instead of trees and grass, it is a above water coral forest. And mountains. It's coral as fuck. It's cool as shit. Like this landmass, all greens and like maybe a little bit of tinging of yellow, like, you know, that kind of yellowed grass from the sun, and lush greens from forests, and like yellow of the sand. This fucker is like gray, stony land, like rocky, craggy, like actual land. So the base is gray, rocky, like stuff. And then it's just like reds, pinks, and oranges all over the place. Because it's coral, and coral looks cool. And that is the coolest thing in the setting. And I have not written about this area at all. But I know it exists. I've mentioned it in, I think, like one article. I think it's in this article, the Sunborgen one. I mentioned the island because they own it. You may steal. You can. You can steal it. Go for it. People want to have, like, weird, like, undersea, like, marvels but above water. That shit's cool. Like, the undersea is cool as shit. And so that's literally all I'm going off of, is that I want there to be above water coral. Because coral needs water to live, kind of. Like, that's kind of its thing. But we're in a setting where there is magic, so, like, whatever, dude. Shit rolls. You may come to this weird island. Once we finally leave the island of Takara, or whatever it's called, and we set sail to the, you know, the general direction of where we think Fantasy China is, we just run into this big gray rock covered in orange and, like, pink, and it's like, what the hell is going on? Why does it look like that? And because none of us are marine biologists. None of us know what we're doing. But yeah, so coral needs water to live, but I say I don't care. And so it's basically coral that can live above the water. It does, you know, stuff. Like, it just goes. Because, like, the way that, like, I think the way that coral reproduces is it, like, spurts stuff and it spreads in the water currents, or parts of it snap off and then they land in the ground and then they grow from there. Kind of like when, like, if you, like, cut off a starfish, it, like, splits into two starfish or whatever the hell, however that works. So, like, that's the kind of vibe, and the cutting on off still works very easily. As far as pollen going sploosh sploosh, there are plants that already do that above above air, like above water, that do that kind of thing. So it's not a stretch to say that they can just do that. Which is why, you know, allergies exist. Because the trees just go poof, poof, pollen. And then everyone's, like, breathes them in and then goes, there's shit up in my mouth, it's not supposed to be there. And then everything goes to shit. And that's coral, baby. Motorcycle license, mostly 2-day training course. Yeah, it's not much. It's just, you know, an effort that would have to be taken. And I'll figure something out if I do go for it. This is mostly just jokes. But yeah, so coral. And then part of me was like, if the coral is only, like, its only special trait is that it's above water, that's cool and all, but it's not like super cool. Yeah, see, I can't afford that. I don't have that money. So this will be a, like, 3 years from now thing. But, like, if the coral is just above the water, that's cool, but not... That doesn't, to me, say peculiar. Not real. Like, peculiar isn't, like, bizarre. Bizarre is very... Like, it's not even close to bizarre. Which is not peculiar. Peculiar is not as weird as bizarre. But it doesn't feel weird enough or, like, interesting enough. Because basically all I would be describing in this article about fancy coral is... It's coral, but it's above water. Ooh, and that's it. And that's neat. But, like, I already hate writing species articles. So if it's going to be so vanilla, for lack of a better word, there needs to be something going on that I can be like, yes, a cool thing. No, yet I don't. I do not have even close to that much money yet, because I keep spending it on dice and subscriptions. As you do. So, the other thing that I decided to add to this coral to make it just that little bit spicier, more interesting, I guess, it's fairly generic as a thing to have, is basically... Like, cause like there's a section where it's like, why is it important? What is it used for? And I'm like, you can build stuff with it because the way that coral works is that like the reason it's so solid is because it's got like a calcium like exoskeleton. It makes calcium exoskeleton, and it like something about limestone. Like it basically can become limestone in certain circumstances, and so you can use that to build shit. You can actually build shit out of coral. There's like a bunch of towers in Britain that are built out of coral. Like really old ones. They don't do that now. But like in like from like the 13th century or something, they built towers out of coral because limestone is cool. And so you can use this coral to build stuff. You can use it for jewelry. That's a fairly straightforward use for a thing like this. And then the thing that's weird is that you can use it as an anesthetic. Because if you like you chop it, you like break off a bit, you grind it up, you mix it in some water or some shit, you feed it to somebody, it knocks them the hell out. They are out. It knocks them out. And that's not just because like it's gross or something, it's because it actually has its magical property, aside from surviving above water, is that it puts you to sleep. Like it just knocks. It conks. And that is the shit. That's basically its fun thing, is that it knocks you out if you interact with it weird. So when you're cutting it down, you need to like wear a mask so you don't inhale all the pollen and pass out while holding your big like axe or whatever. Hi Alexis, welcome. We are talking about funky coral. And yeah, I think it's decently useful, but also slightly dangerous because like again, like if you, because the island's covered in it. Like even as people have, you know, like moved in and inhabited the island, because the island is definitely habited now. Like it is full of people. Because it's decently large. It's full of people, but it's also still full of this weird coral. And like if you go into the coral forest without proper precautions, you might just straight up die because you pass out and then don't wake up because no one can drag you out of it. You just keep like inhaling pollen until you like just wither away into the whoop whoop. And it's like, oh, that's not good. So yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Do not go into the forest on your own. You're not gonna get eaten. You're just gonna like just wither away. It's like that's whack. Where do I make the maps? I made this map myself in Photoshop. So I drew it myself, which isn't very helpful, unfortunately. I know that I have Wonder Draft, which is pretty good, but because I like to have that really specific touch of drawing it myself, because then I can make like specific choices. So I'm not a very good judge of whether a map program is good or not, because you know I do them myself because I'm picky like that. This is the cooler map. There is another map, but like it's not as good because it's a different style, kind of. Okay, question 1. Can my corals move? No? No. And 2, what do they eat? Probably insects, yeah. Probably insects. Don't know what else. Maybe some birds. You know, shit just if shit gets too close, it just falls in. It's rough. Big sleepy patch. There's a Am I ripping off Del Toro Quest with a big sleeping forest, or am I just, like, is my brain breaking a little bit? I'm pretty sure it's Del Toro Quest with, like, a forest that, like, knocks you out. Shit. Is it Del Toro? Fuck. Yeah, going to first means you didn't pass the vibe check, yeah. If you don't come out, you didn't pass. And yeah, like, if things die in there and they get eaten by the insects, yeah, that seems reasonable. Yeah, sleepy bit in the forest at the start of Del Toro Quest. That. Well, yeah, the coral obviously makes it way different. Like, it's coral. But the thing of, like, a forest that knocks you out. Oh no, it's not, I'm not thinking of Del Toro Quest. I'm thinking of Rowan of Rin, which is by the same lady. So it's the same basic concept. She's used it twice. You know what? Listen, it's fine. Yeah, the coral makes it different. But there was a forest that made things pass out in Rowan of Rin. That's book 2. Book 2, the forest makes you pass out. And you beat it with dandelions. It was weird. Good book. That one was weird. Listen. Rowan of Rin is one of my favorite books. So yeah, that was book 2. So I couldn't think of it because I haven't read Del Toro Quest or Rowan of Rin in ages. And they're the same lady. So I was like, shit, which book is it? I had just like a specific image of like the cover in my head. I'm like, shit, which Del Toro book is that? Oh, jeez. But yeah, so basically, I'll add those notes to the bottom where the shit happens. So basically, coral doesn't move and eats, like, insects and stuff. Sometimes birds. Sometimes Sometimes buyers. Birds. Sometimes people. You know. It be like that. Nutrients to soil and such. Yeah. I feel like the way I'm imagining it is basically like a rock pool, but big. Like the kind of rocks you get around rock pools. Which I say not having been to one very recently. Like this like sort of like dark, almost like the same sort of color to like the website actually. Those kind of rocks with a lot of like holes in it where there's like a lot of little things everywhere, little creatures skittering around. And then just big coral trees, the size of like oak trees. And that's the cool shit. And so that's the coral. And then I probably will draw a picture of it. If it eats birds, some of the coral should have like long tentacles that are sticky. And they group together to grow a bird that lands. Yeah? Yeah, that makes sense. That does make sense. So some of them are like very solid and they're basically just like they are there, but some of them would be, because they are all just like different types of coral. Because I don't know anything about coral. I did read the Wikipedia and I didn't absorb a whole lot. I absorbed building and jewelry and like medicinal, and I was like, okay, I've got it. I've figured it out. I did not do bio, so that shit is hard. And it is difficult for me. Yeah, so the soft and the hard bodies. Yeah. You got the really soft, squishy coral, and you got the really solid stuff. And so there would be the big ones are the solid ones, and then the soft ones are not the big ones. I think, I assume, I don't know. A lot of the ones that I've seen are like the soft ones are like yay big. In terms of like the pictures of them, they're like yay big. They're not huge. And that's like, I don't know, like, that's like a baseball. You can be on a live in the middle of lunch. Hell yeah! That's the best time to be. Like, to watch a live stream, just like in the middle of lunch. Just like snatching time here and there. It's like, live stream here, live stream there. God. As long as it's not the middle of the night. Don't do that. Don't do what I do. Okay, so I'm gonna just check the quote. I don't write the quote until later. I'll check the quote. And then I don't have a name, so we're just gonna put PP is, how do I describe coral? The bigger generally close the little, I think. Yes, that is probably true. But I am taking the artistic liberty of, I basically want tree, like, coral the size of trees. Because I think that's cool. Because, like, a lot of the, like, there is, like, a degree of, a lot of the height of a coral reef is the fact that the actual height of the ground is extremely varied. That shit wobbly as hell. So the coral looks tall because it's coating up the top, and then it's like coating the entire wall, like the cliff face, and it looks like one huge thing. It's not. So it just looks really tall. But I think it looks cool when it is tall. So, alright, see you, Alexis! So yeah, I basically just want coral that is size of tree. Because I think that's cool. But there can obviously be, like, sections where it's just a bunch of coating. Like, just a bunch of smaller things coating the land. Like, basically the replacement of grass. Because there isn't grass natively on this island. Hitzalda did not natively have grass because it is just rock. In fact, it probably doesn't have any grass. Don't quote me on that, but not a whole lot. Like, you'd have to bring dirt to put it on. But, like, so, like, the replacement for grass would be, like, the smaller, like, clumps of coral sort of coating the ground. And then you have these bigger trees, which are just, like, chilling out. I think it looks... the mental image I have looks kind of cool, and I do want to draw that maybe on the Saturday stream. We will see. We'll see what happens with that. Because I have a kind of image of how this article looks in my head, and it requires effort. And as we well know, I am very lazy. So, you know. I'm productive, but only sometimes and only for specific things. So I haven't done any world building for my own setting in months, but I have spent the last 2 weeks, you know, vibing about gay elves and Napoleonic France. So, like, that's, you know, that's a thing that happens. Why did it notify me? I'm literally using the computer. Oh, yeah. It's very insistent about whether it wants to tell me. Discord notifications. Okay, so PP is... how do I describe coral? It's not really that much. It's really not. It doesn't feel like a lot. Like, it doesn't feel like a lot because I do a lot of it in, like, July and December, because those are the big world building months, where I do a lot of world building. And sometimes I'm just in it, and sometimes I'm not. And I haven't been in since, like, December ended. For the setting, anyway, even though I still love the setting. Because I've still been working on it, but I haven't been able to actually write anything of it down, because it's for the stories in it, not the actual articles. I'm like, shit. Damn it. Because, like, I wrote the Unkyon article for the Hero Challenge in, like, 3 days, and then that was it. Three. Like 3-ish days, and then it was basically done. And then I wrote the Tingirhu article in, like, 2 days. And then those are, like, it. That's it. That's all I've done. So, for this setting, anyway. Again, we turn back to the thing with the elf, where she punches her coworker in the face and then leaves the country. Which, you know what? Valid. Okay, so PP is a rare type of coral unique to the island of Hitzalda. I need to check. It's definitely Hitzalda, right? I'm pretty confident. Need to check. The real line in the southwest. Chunk of sea floor gono fushi wushi. A name means undersea island. If you're gay punching elf. She punched once. Single time. The context for that is basically she was doing a research project and then her co-worker went, "You are doing some treason in this project," handed it in to the authorities, and then she figured it out, punched him in the face, and left the country. There's obviously steps involved in the middle, but that's basically why she punched him in the face. Because he fucking ratted her out to the authority, and she's like, nah, dude, the fuck. How fucking dare you? She just went for it. It's the one time. She's been angry, like, twice. And it's to her coworker and to the guy who tried to throw Talia off a cliff. That's her 2 times. She tries not to be angry. It's those 2 times. That's it. This is canon. Okay, so the rest of Carl... He was being a bootlicker. Exactly. He was being a bootlicker. Because he thought that, like, if... He was worried that if they, like, published it, because his name's attached to the product as well, he would also get done for treason if it was published. So he just gave it to the authorities, like, she wrote it. Please don't punish me. And it's like, you bitch. You hoe. How dare you? Okay, to protect Carl, you need to... First Carl, which needs to live underwater and survives on plankton. Plankton, I can spell. Beep beep. Thrives above the surface on the rocky land. And survives on insects. Not, yeah, okay. We'll just put that as like the basic. I'm gonna have to revise that because it sounds weird. Sounds strange. Go beep beep. Okay. Post check with the sections. So geographic. Yes. Yes. That button. What? 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 Hold on. I can understand having a related ethnicity for a species. I guess because it's thinking of, like, general species. Like, if this was the elf article, it would have all the elf cultures underneath it, but that wouldn't make sense for this. Discovered by... Could always include a specific individual, but... It's not really a specific person, it's more just everyone woke up that morning, looked out over the ocean and went, there is a big, like, yellow, orange, red spot over there. That's weird. And then eventually someone got in a boat and went, the fuck is this? And that's the person who did it. Good job, buddy. Took a couple months, but, like, you know, that's the person. Conservation status. Well, gee. Anatomy. Listen. Doesn't have that, I don't think. Did poof. It's Zelda, baby. I don't know how coral works. Insects. We're working on it. There we go. Alright. Hey, same song that was playing earlier. That's weird. That song was literally playing earlier. Does it have so few songs on the runaround that it can't even play a different song? Oh well. Extended. This one will come up with all the insects and stuff. And then this one comes up because it's actually, like, used for stuff. Let's just close that out. There we go. And then obviously it's not a, like, sapient species as such. Not in this context. You can't have a kingdom of coral. That's not how that works. Coral is not a playable species, basically. So I guess the next bit, because there's like, what does it look like? Where does it grow? Conditions to grow and spread. Beyond its out there, I guess. And why is it important? And then you can basically drop it off into those sections. Like, that's just the sections that it's in. So there's the characteristics, which could possibly be both of these bits combined into one, where it mentions, you know, the rocks being cool, which actually could just be like all three of these. Chuck all three of those under one heading of characteristics, and then like uses, which would be a nice big section where stuff happens, I guess. Sure. We'll go with that. Page 1, Caddick 36. Actually, I want to check. How did I write about the berries that one time? How did I do that? Oh god. Appearance and habitat and uses. Right. It's the same gist, pretty much. Whack. Oh, hold a minute. Wait a second. Did I? Wow, I actually deleted the image. That's rough. Oh, maybe I'll fix that. I don't know. I'm gonna put a note for that out my eyeballs. Article. Just check that in the notes so that I eventually get around to maybe fixing that. We'll see. We'll see. Alright. So, characteristics. Coral. I don't want to, like, end up just, like, copying the Wikipedia article for coral to describe what coral looks like. You know, like, I don't want to do that, because that is annoying and very frustrating. And it doesn't really, like, read cool. But I kind of need to, because I don't know how to describe coral without just saying it's coral. And I can't say the word coral without thinking I'm saying coral. And that's weird, because my accent doesn't actually, like, allow for that to be the same thing. It doesn't help, but the Wikipedia article is very, you know, unhelpful if you do not know what the words already mean. Like, it just be like that. Oh, they basically just live with photosynthesis. Oh. Well, see, that works. So some of them are just photosynthetic. In, like, the fancy way. And then some of them eat, like, you know, shit. And those are the ones that are, like, down on the ground. I guess. I'd be the kind of vibe for that. Ow. Right. God, that hurts my wrist. Wrist hurts again. Characteristics. Eyeballs out. Yeah, that's the issue. Like, none of those words make much sense to me. Because I only kind of know what they mean. So, you know. Oopsie daisies. Really helpful for, you know. Maybe I need, like, the simple English. Maybe that's what I need. Maybe that's what I should do. Where's the simple English? Where's the I can't read, please? The easy one. Easy reading. Wait, is that the button that did it? Species. No, I need the easy English. Yeah, Carl. Give me the shit. Corals are formed by small animals. They're polyps. Which is those are not words. They're all clones. Each coral animal is like a small bag. Okay. Okay. Sure. Okay. My hair is getting messy. Oh god. Greasy, greasy, greasy. Okay, so maybe I'll just like dot point it for a second. So types. One's kinda like leafless. Trees, very solid and pointy. Grow many meters tall and vary in colors. Often, I said colors earlier, which is basically I must have mentioned the colors: reds, orange, and pinks. I'm thinking like oranges and reds. Types. More chunky ones. Pinks. Little tentacles to eat insects and other critters. Pink Venus flytrap. Kinda like a Venus flytrap because it gets all sticky and then they just get dissolved. Turned into goop slowly. I assume that's how that works. You just sort of slowly goopify them. There's the big pointy ones, the small chunky ones, that's basically it. You can only grow on the dark, craggy rocks of the island. The island is cool and fancy and unique. Did it elaborate on what looks like it? But I can get some pictures. No, that doesn't help. Some really tall, some are small and chunky. Only grow on dark green rocks of the island. You produce by snapping or by going all whoosh with the polyps, kinda like tree pollen. Allergy season on this island is very rough. I mean, especially, oh yeah, allergy season on this island would suck. Because everyone's just really sleepy. It's like, why is everyone so lazy this time of year? It's because it's allergy season. That doesn't explain the question. Yes, it does. The thing we're allergic to is a tree that makes people pass out. It's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. That makes a bit of sense, I guess. This whole island's just wearing masks half the time because they're like, if we don't wear this mask, the tree will knock us out. It's like, is it gonna fall on you? No, I'm gonna breathe it in. Good lord, that's rough, but also kind of cool. Ooh, this island would be really cool, actually. Like, culturally, because they'd have to wear, masks. Otherwise, they go poof. Everyone's walking around in, plague doctor masks and shit. Because it just means they don't breathe in the sleepy pollen. The sleepy polyp. It's great. So they snap, or they go whoosh. That's it. That's all I have. Unless the characteristics section is going to be where I mention the fact that it makes you pass out. Because that feels important. As a feature of the plant. I'm also being possibly a bit vague, because I think what they wanted was a specific plant, whereas I'm just describing all of the coral unique to this island, even though the coral that's the leafless trees and the coral that's the bag that eats things, those are different species of coral. But this is just kind of a vague catch-all term for the funky shit on that one island that makes you pass out, because they all have that trait. I don't know, man. I just think it's neat. I can always specify, like maybe I don't want to write about the smaller ones. Because with the smaller ones, if they're acting kind of like Venus flytraps, they do not need a pollen that makes you pass out. In fact, I think that would be counterintuitive. Because if they have the pollen that makes you pass out, and the creature, like, gets away, the creature is going to pass out away from the plant, and then it cannot get eaten. So what those would want, they would specifically want the very attractive pollen, and the sleepy pollen does not smell very good. It is not a great sensory experience to have the sleepy pollen in your nose, because it doesn't smell very good. It just smells kind of like wet dog. I feel like it would just smell very damp, and damp does not usually smell good. And so they wouldn't want that. So it's the trees that have to smell bad and do the thing. Whereas the smaller, chunky ones, that basically acts like grass. On this island doesn't have grass because it's all made out of rock. It's kind of like mossy shit. That is a different species entirely and is not what people think of. Maybe? I feel like just the trees is more helpful. Just because that's like the one that's in my head, and like the image I have is specifically of somebody sitting underneath the tree, like with a book, and they've passed out, and it looks all sweet, and you're like, oh, you know, someone just napping in the afternoon. It's like, no. Bad time. They do not want to be there. Take them away. Get them out. Drag them away quickly. Ah, wrong button. Ah, don't do that. No. No. There we go. Okay, so we're just gonna focus on the big trees. Okay. We've got Elfland world building. All right, this isn't Elfland. This is Fantasy Europe. So the Duchy of Orostarian is one of the lead kingdoms in the Middle Kingdoms, currently ruled over by a Grand Duke, but largely influenced by Ottilie von Schönhausen, an Orc Duchess who has recently been campaigning for a united Middle Kingdoms led by her duchy. It's Germany, baby. Fiercely loyal to the Grand Duke and well known for demanding and winning duels with her critics, she's quickly becoming a well-known figure in the continent. She was nearly married young, but the arranged marriage was called off after she maimed her fiancé during a duel following his insulting her. Her family gave up on trying to marry her, and she has since gone through a succession of girlfriends during her university's years, where she studied in multiple countries including Orostarian, the Sylvian Empire, and insert Ottoman Empire fancy shit here. Her current flame is a red-headed elf named Antoinette. Nice! That slaps. Yeah, sweet coral death tree. It's just the fancy death trees. They don't smell super... Okay, they probably don't smell like wet dog. But they probably don't smell great. Not, like, super good. So, like, all the grassy, the flowers around smell nice, because the whole point of, like, a Venus flytrap is attract the thing with the nice smell, and then it's stuck. Same with, like, any, like, flower. But that's not what, like, the trees are just photosynthesis. They don't, and they probably reproduce by the snapping. Well, no, because they can reproduce by snapping or by going the fushi with the pollen. So they don't really need you to land on them. Like, that's not important. The reason they have the sleepy powder in the pollen is to be, like, symbiotic with the creatures below. The idea being that if say a bird lands on the big coral tree, it's going to end up inhaling a lot of the pollen just by being there. And then it'll pass out, fall to the, like, forest floor, and get eaten by the Venus flytrap coral stuff. And that's, like, the vibe. That's the vibe of this shit. Is that the trees kill the shit so that you can just eat it. But as in you, I mean the coral on the floor. But the main royal family basically the lesbian shit because vibes. Hell yeah. That's the shit. I assume you mean the main royal family of Sylvia or of, like, Orostarian in the Middle Kingdoms. All good. All is good. These are all good things. quite get dog levels. But, oh, of Welverant. Ah, the other one. That's good. Because that will be useful for, everybody else. Everyone else's character will need that. And also the, yeah, main. That's true. That is true. I should have figured that out from the word main, but that was a word that I glossed over. Because that'll be useful for, like, especially for Morgan. Morgan will find that useful to actually know what the fuck the royal family's deal is. Niall does not give a shit. Niall could care less. Couldn't even. Couldn't care less. She does not care. She was invested in a royal family once, and she does not give a fuck. She doesn't care. She's nice to the one guy because she has to be. So, it's fine. It's fine. I basically have an excuse for the royals to be both from the same family and be of any species. Hell yeah, because they're different people. It's just like the most senior woman and the most senior man. But, you know, that could mean anything. They can be, like, siblings or cousins. They could be at any goddamn distance. It's great. Well, yeah. Well, that's what she means by royal family. I guess, yeah, it's more of a military thing. I'm just assuming... I think I've just been assuming that if Nathaniel has a kid, that kid is being groomed as his successor. Which, in my mind, just makes it a royal family with extra steps. Now, having said that, he is dating a dude. So, maybe he doesn't have a kid. He's got, like, somebody. There's someone out there that he's just grooming as a successor, and she's like, that's basically just royal family, but with steps. It's fine. And Adelaide would try and say, no, it's not that way. It's like, yes, it is. Family also liberally uses marriage to make heirs using whatever combination. Yep, fair enough. Just so it works. He doesn't have a child. He's busy conquering the world and being gay. Mood. Big mood. Big mood on my man, Nathaniel. I just figured I would throw... I wasn't sure. Listen, man. I left it open. It's there. Options exist. So it's not his kid. Is it like a cousin then? I've just been assuming a relative of his is being groomed as his successor. Kind of like how, was it like Josephine's son? But with a different dude was being groomed as his successor or something? I don't remember how actual Napoleon's thing functioned, because I know he had a kid. I think. I'm pretty sure he had a kid. But I'm more confident that he involved Josephine's, like, kid with a previous marriage. So I've just been assuming that it's just like, there's kids somewhere. There is somebody present somewhere who is supposed to inherit. But we'll see what happens when he fucking dies in 60 years. When he just goes... The answer is Alexander takes over. But then Alexander goes, he's the same age. And then it's like, oh shit. And then we're fucked. I'm not sure he's thought about it. That's rough, bud. That's not great. Nail's gonna live to see her home country burst into flames. She's gonna be like, okay, I don't know if this is a good thing or not. On the one hand. Oh no. On the other hand, she can just go back then. She's waiting it out. She's waiting out to see when the Sylvian Empire bursts into flames, because once it does, she can just come back. Because who did she do treason to? A guy who's dead. Who gives a shit? She just comes back. She's like, what up, bitches? I'm a warlock. None of you knew that at the time, but here I am. She's vibing. She's not gonna do that. She might do that. It depends. It kind of depends. Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, fair. He's gonna go full, Warhammer 40k Imperium of Man, dude. What's his name? I don't give a shit. The Emperor, dude. Fucking chained to his throne, fucking being fed by the souls of the damned or something. It's like, yep. I can't do anything, but I am alive. It's like, sure, bud, sure. He won't do that, obviously. That's not how the setting works, but like, just do the thing. Just sacrifice the virgins. It's fine. One hand, coral trees that make you pass out. Other hand, me doing that. I don't know. No, it's the Emperor of Man. Okay, I wasn't sure. I was like, I know it's the Imperium of Man, and I know it's the Emperor. But does he have a name? Doesn't matter. Emperor of Man. It's fine. It's fine. Listen. Oh god, he's doing things? Shit. My knowledge is outdated. The lads have not been telling me the lore. They haven't kept me up to date on all the lore. Oh, I'm devastated. They have no obligation to. I haven't expressed any interest in it. I just absorbed it over time. Okay, so leafless trees, solid and pointy. They snap or they go fushy fushy. They smell kind of damp. Not wet dog, but not swimming pool either. Just kind of damp. Just kind of wet. Just smells wet. I feel like saying something smells damp is going to be evocative enough on its own. That people are like, okay, damp. I know what damp smells like. I know what like a wet piece of floorboard smells like. Kind of moldy, but not quite moldy. It's just damp. This is just damp. And then the pollen makes you very sleepy. And that's the characteristics. Leafless trees, grow on craggy rocks, reproduce going snap or floosh, smell damp, go zzz. I think there was a specific coral that I was looking up as a reference, but the issue is I don't remember what type of coral it was. Types of coral. It was staghorn, maybe? Because staghorn's got the kind of vibe that I'm picturing. Let me just pull this into the correct tab. Oh, shit. That one. There we go. Eyeballs. So, like, that's kind of the stuff that I'm picturing. This kind of stuff. But, like, big. Big boy. Biggins. It's oh my god. We might have to diversify the color portfolio of the fancy PP coral. It's just doing this shit. This shit slaps. Look at it. This is what I'm using as a reference. For what the it's just staghorn coral, but fancy. And so I'm going to pull up its bit and learn about how it lived, how long lived. Please explain. What? How mean? Because, like, obviously, basically none of this actually matters. Because it just says that, okay, so the branches increase by 10 to 20 centimeters per year, but it doesn't say how big they actually get. Oh, from a few centimeters to 2 to 3 meters, 2 meters in length. Okay, so that's, we're gonna go bigger than that, obviously. It is going to be bigger than that. It's gonna go basically up to 3. So, yeah, the lore was same. I know. I remember hearing about the lore advancement, but I didn't absorb anything about it. Because most stuff is still relating to the 80s section. Because, again, it was the same lore for, like, 30 years. 40, even. Nearly. Ooh boy. So, most of it, I'm like, yeah, okay, I know the basic setup. Because people tell you the basic setup, and it's all the stuff from the 80s. Yeah, she exploded. I mean, that basically summarizes a lot of stuff. Shit done be exploding. And that's the Warhammer 40k way. The Emperor stuff is 9th edition and is in the 2nd lore advancement. Ah, gotcha. Because I didn't absorb anything. Like, I know he exists, and that's it. I think the only reason I know he exists is because one of the guys keeps going on about Angron, and that requires me to know who Angron is, and that requires me to know who the Imperium of Man are. So I'm just like, beans. I have to know this stuff now, so that I don't sound like I don't know what's going on. And I still do, because I don't know what's going on. Oof. So, it doesn't tell me how long it lives, which I guess is because coral live long. They live long. Coral live many time. kilometers a year. Grows up to like 4 meters tall. Very variable. Some very short, kinda shrub-esque. Shrubby-esque. What boys? What other bits were there? Apples. I could possibly specify which parts of the island it's on, because the island has a solid bit of vertical difference. It has mountains, which impressive for one thing. Why is it like that? Oh my! I might tweak those borders. That's a bit weird. Like, I think I know why it looks like that, but it's weird. 8th Gathering Storm, basically galaxy exploded and such. Best part was an army of super hard-ass normal humans managed to outlive their unbreakable planet. Yes. 9th, Psychic Awakening. Everyone started shooting brain lasers and shit. As you do! As you do! As is typical and common and normal. Shooting brain lasers and shit is a normal Friday night for me. Like, it just happens. I do remember the normal humans thing. I do remember them. I do remember those guys. So I have read about them. And I'm familiar with some of the psychic bullshit, but not all of it. Because I don't read that much lore. I'm too busy with the lore in my head for the, like, you know, 2 things that I'm responsible for. Like, I've got the Tiamat lore going, wee, and then I've got, like, specific Napoleonic elf lore going, wee, and that's it. That's just the brain going, wee, going wild. Shit's just happening, dude. And she didn't even do anything. The Emperor might have psychic demons of his own, manifesting as angels at this point. I mean, yeah, that sounds about right. Here's the thing. You could say anything to me about 40k, and my response is basically like the Always Sunny meme, where it's like, that doesn't sound right, but I don't know enough about it to dispute it. Like, that's just basically how I am with this. Like, you would need to discuss very specific things in the lore that I know to make me go, wait, what? And like, that specific thing is like, actually, I don't think I have any of those. You could say anything. I have to believe it. You know? I will believe anything at this point. Like, hell, there's a lot of shit you could do that with where I just do not know. Like, if people had told me, like, a week ago that one of the seasons of Yu-Gi-Oh! Involved, like, 6 versions of the same character going wild, like, just dueling each other, I would have said that that sounded weird. That's actually what happens. And I'm just like, why, though? It's like, you could say anything. I have to believe it. No, I know. I know that the Eldar did that. I know they're kinky bastards. I know. They're wild. They're pulling wild shit. Cause they're like the sex cells, right? They're doing some weird shit, yo. The Eldar are wild. But the thing is, like, that's the one thing where I'm like, yeah, I know that. I'm familiar. That's one of those bits of lore that I do know. God damn it, this hairpin is not working. My hair is a nightmare. Help. Help. Dad. So I was already aware of the Eldar. Oh, well. Okay, so how long does Coral live? I need to ask. How long does... Not... Alright, Carl, how does Carl live for? Holy shit. Big boy. Big boy. Woo. Big boy. This is great. But I haven't spoken in like 3 days, so I've forgotten how to use a mouth. Elder had resurrected one of the Emperor's kids, and also around the same time woke up their half-born god of death and vengeance. Is that Angron? Is that bitch? I don't actually know. That sounds, you know, I have to believe you on that one. That sounds plausible enough based on everything I know. It's not Angron, is it? Why do I keep... Listen, I don't know anything. I don't know anything. God. So, live long. Long live. No, there's Angron. Good. I don't know anything. I do not know anything. Live long time. Like, 400 plus. Woo! There are big plants. That hat. Angron is chaos, dude. Okay, he's chaos. I couldn't remember. I don't know. Listen, all he did was just kill a bunch of people. And that could be anybody. And since the collision... mostly grow. Yeah, pretty much. That do be right. That sounds about right based on my memory of what he looked like in the one time that I had him in the meme. He's like a buff dude. Like, he was just a buff dude. Just a big... At least once he was big buff dude. Maybe he got worse. I think he got worse. Like, aesthetic. He turned more monstrous later. But originally, he was just a big dude. And I know this because Angron was in the arena campaign and I couldn't heal him and he died the one time. Because of the feeble mind. Happened. Hey, Dead Gamer! Welcome! Good evening! I'm supposed to be writing about Sleepy Carl, but... yeah, before he became a Chaos Demon, he was just a dude. Yeah, I'm supposed to be writing about Carl. I have been talking about many things that are not Carl. This happens a lot. So, God, so the thing is with the Carl is that this specific type of Carl in real life is fairly shallow water stuff. But obviously this is above water, so that's a different problem. So would it be more likely to be on, like, the shallow coast or the mountains? Distraction. A distraction, even. No. Coral. Like, like Carl under the sea. C-O-R-A-L. Carl. I can't say the word Carl. Because it just sounds like Carl. Oh, God. My accent shouldn't do that. Oh, God. I'm thinking it's probably lowlands, right? Like these funky trees. Because they probably still need a good amount of water. But you get a lot of sun in the mountains. Mountains get a lot of sun. So it kind of depends if they're going more the photosynthesis route or if they want those nutrients in the soil kind of stuff. Because if you want that sun, you go up here. You go on these big boys. And you get a lot of sun up there. And then as it gets closer to the coast, it gets more into like the shrubbery and the other coral that replaces grass. Where it does the weird Venus flytrap thing. So it's one of the two. It's either up or down. And I don't know which makes more sense, because biology is hard. Yeah, Carl. Just me yelling Carl. Carl. I don't know how to distinguish it. Carl. 0 to 30. Upper limit is defined by wave forces, and lower limit is controlled by suspended sediments and light availability. So, yeah. Carl! Yeah, that's the one. Oh, God. So okay, so I think if it can't be... If the upper limit of normal staghorn coral is... It basically has to be in still water kind of stuff. It can't be blustered around too much. Then I'd probably go for not the mountains, because I feel like that's going to be windy. So maybe it's more coastal. But even then, coast's pretty windy. So like you know, like kind of just like chilling. Maybe just mostly in there. What way did we say the wind went again? I don't even remember. Oh my god. Mostly grows in the like lower lands, not tippy mountain tops as much. Yeah, now coral necromancer summoning coral golems was one of your favorite encounters. That sounds super cool. Golems are already super cool. A golem made out of coral sounds awesome. And then you're like, necromancer. It's like, yeah, sure. Oh, that sounds so cool, though. God. They add that to the coral island. My setting doesn't have golems, so I've made a mistake already. Devastating. Okay, I think that describes how fast grow, how big grow, how long live, where grow. Characteristics. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, coral is alive after all. Because it is an organism that is not a plant. Which is why me writing it for the plant challenge is a little bit misleading. But in my defense, fungus isn't a plant either. So I'm allowed to write about coral. I think I am anyway. I haven't checked. I probably should have checked. I probably should have checked that they consider coral to count as plant before I went ahead and wrote about it. But hey, I think I'm good. I think I'm allowed to count a coral as a plant for this. In that way, you know? That's plant. Fungus is a mood. Fungus. Fungus, a cool guy. Okay, so we have the characteristics list. And I'm gonna come back to them later. When I can just get the Wikipedia article and go, yeah. Technically, it's an animal. Right? Exactly. Technically, it's an animal. But it's acting like a plant. And because it's acting like a plant, I'm allowed to do it. Because I'm pretty sure one of their examples is like fungus monsters. Which is basically a plant acting like an animal. And I'm just like, huh? I can write about coral. You guys, it's always a good time. Your co-workers. Oh, oh no. Animals acting like plants. Oh no. Oops. Oh god. What's the second section gonna be? I don't even know. But the long characteristics section, which I'm gonna make no quick note. Pictures here. In a 2-column setup. Hey! Inset thingo. Yeah, okay. I made that note. Alright, so I've got a characteristics section. And it's basically just the stuff about the physicality of the plant. And the fact that it makes you pass out. Which might be a separate section within that section. Because it's kind of important. Then maybe then we just go into that bit. Where it goes into the, you know, what it's used for. And I'd possibly put, like, this section about how people treat it in the sidebar. Where I'd mostly put, like, miscellaneous information. Boy. BB code. You do that. I love when it does that. Uses. So basically, like, I'll have these. It looks really bad when it's not formatted properly. And then over here, I'll put in a mention about how, like, because it makes you sleepy, it can be really dangerous, and so people have to, like, wear masks in order to not pass out during allergy season. And you never go into the forest unaccompanied. You know, you have specific things that you do to keep safe when going into the forest. But also, like, you know, you build shit out of it. And you have to treat it. So that'll get mentioned in the uses, that in order to use it as a building material, because you can do that, because, like, there are actual buildings in real life built out of coral. But in this case, you basically have to treat it to turn it into a type of stone. And in treating it, you neutralize the ability for it to make you pass out. Because if you didn't treat it, and you just built a tower out of it, you could not go in that building. Because if you did, you would never be able to get out. Not because it's physically impossible, but because you would pass out. Because now there's a bunch of pollen in an enclosed space. And that's just it. You're done. You're out. You're not going to get out of there. You have to burn the thing down. Start again. Start from scratch. Just get rid of it. Just burn it. Which has happened. In this setting. Has probably happened. Some fool tried to build, like, a wood hut, but out of coral, because it looks kind of like a tree. They built a wood hut out of the coral, and then went in, and then, like, didn't come out for, like, a week, and everyone's like, are they okay? Open the door. And he's just passed out in the corner, because he can't leave. Because the coral just made him sleepy. He's like, I can't get out of here. It's like, oh, shit. They have to, like, bulldoze it. It's rough. It's spooky, sleepy stuff. Spooky, sleepy plant. Big spooky. And again, I am just ripping off the second Rowan of Rin book, but I don't care. Because that's a good book. Even if it's probably a little bit... There's a lot going on in there. I cannot recommend it, per se. Critical rating. Very important. So, uses. So the first use is probably just as decorative, because it is very pretty. So, decorative uses. For jewelry, and... I mentioned just for jewelry, yeah. Jewelry, architectural, furniture, spice. Jewelry, spice, small bushes kept inside as statement pieces with precautions. That kind of thing. Then there is the building uses. If the branches are treated in specific ways, they can be used as a stony material. Kinda like limestone. I don't think that staghorn specifically has been used for building. I think it was like brain coral. I think was what it was mentioned as. Construction. Correlates to vein material. Ancient fossil coral limestone. Okay. So it's fossil coral limestone. So in theory, basically what they're doing is the way they are treating the coral is they basically just fossilize it. It just kills it. And then it doesn't make it sleepy anymore. And then this is limestone. Which is neat. Yeah. You go, but alright, good night, Say. Good night. Have a nice sleep. Ooh, and limestone will actually look different to the normal stone around it. Ooh, that'll look cool. Ooh. There's a locality called Limestone in Victoria. Alright. Sure there is. Sure there is. That's normal. I don't like limestone. They basically fossilize the branches to do this. Or they can crush and powderize it into a kind of cement. Sure, this makes enough sense. And then an aesthetic. If treated a different way, coral dust can be used as an aesthetic, since it knocks you clean out. That's mostly a pollen trait. The actual coral does this a bit as well. I think I said eating it conks you out. Great. Just don't eat sticks. The tree has no leaves. Don't eat sticks. That just seems like a bad idea. Just don't do it. Okay, the actual cards is a bit as well. It's more potent, but more dangerous. It has been used a few times. This can also be used as a general sleeping aid kind of thing for treating insomnia, but again, oh boy, bad idea. There's presumably a cure aside from the obvious of just get away from the plant that is doing the sleepy juice. Because if I keep taking inspiration from Rowan of Rin, which I'm just gonna lean in now, the whole thing in the Rowan of Rin book with the Sleepy Forest is that the reason that Rowan didn't get sleepy is because he had allergies and had to take daffodil tea and shit to not have allergies, and the trees were weak to the daffodils. So because he had the immunity for the daffodils, he did not get sleepy. And then, a whole thing happened. So there is presumably either another plant or some kind of thing which can be used to low-key neutralize the threat that this coral poses in the short term. So it's the kind of thing where just shoving smelling salts in someone's nose to wake them up. Stuff kind of like that. And then if you eat stuff, it can give you a little bit longer. So if you're going to go on a forest hike, you eat a bit before you go and you take some with you. And the question is is it either the other coral, because there is the, because this is the big tree coral, there is the Venus flytrappy one, which is the soft one. Because this is obviously the stony one, the hard one. There's the soft one, which eats creatures and insects to get by in life. So either that's the anesthetic, which seems like a bad idea, biome wise, that you would have that because the tree knocks out the animal so that the small ones can eat it. So if the small ones also neutralize the sleepy, that seems weird. So probably not them. So it would have to be something from off island, probably, just to kind of make sense of it. Or there is a creature native to the island that just is vibing and doesn't give a shit. Some kind of creature is I don't feel nothing, and so its threat is basically just stepping in a sticky coral and getting eaten by the other one. But it doesn't get sleepy, so its threat is not seeing the issue. It's not seeing the danger. But if it sees the danger, it's fine. It's not going to pass out and fall in the pit, as it were. So I reckon it might get like a brief mention. This effect can be neutralized with, something from a native animal that thrives in these coral forests. I don't know what type of creature, but either it's like, well, it probably, well, oh, yeah, of like milk or something that can be harvested and ingested. That's not the right way to spell the word ingested. Can be harvested and ingested to neutralize and immunize against sleepy effect. But so people take milk on journeys. Gotta eat that milk, buddy. And if you're lactose intolerant, I am so sorry for your loss. In terms of this island, wear a mask. Yeah. There's some kind of creature that lives in a coral forest, and like milk exists, and so it can be harvested, kind of, and then that's, you do it. But you can't get a lot of it, I assume, because even though the island is big, like it's pretty big. And I would say that's quite large. It's about 100 kilometers that way. It's decently big. Like it's a chunky. It's like 100 by like probably 50 overall. Once you like account for like the bumps and stuff, it's like 100 by 50. So it's like it's 5,000. Is that how the number works? 5,000. Yeah. It's like 5,000 square kilometers. It's decently large. That's not tiny. So, you can presumably, like, there would be a decent amount of, only 5,000? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea how big anything is at this point. I've given up on knowing. Like, there's presumably a decent amount of this creature, whatever the hell it is, but it's probably annoying as hell to actually harvest the milk without hurting the creature, and you don't want to be a dick about it. Especially because, like, if the creature dies out, we're all screwed. So you have to be really chill. You have to be really chill about it. And so there isn't a whole lot of this milk that has been treated for humans, because it's not really meant to be eaten by humans. Like, it's like you have to, like, pasteurize cow milk. You're not really supposed to drink it. You can. You're not really meant to. Like, that's not what we were meant to do. So, you have to treat the milk. Yeah, milk needs to be treated. It's pretty rare overall. Probably kind of gross. It's gross time. Things gross. Hey, Cashtan! Good time zone to you. Welcome. We are writing about Caaaaaaaaarl. C-O-R-A-L. Caaaaaaaaarl. Because every time I say it, it doesn't sound like I'm saying the word Caaaaaaarl. Oh, how else would you say it? I don't even know. I give up. I give up on knowing how to pronounce that word. I'm just saying. I'm trying. So yeah, we are writing about a Caaaaaaarl because that is my peculiar plant. It is a Caaaaaaarl that makes you sleepy and is also above water. Those are its two traits. Above water, sleepy time. The sleepy time is not a good thing. It can be used in a good way, but it's mostly a bad thing. Don't go into the forest unsupervised. Rough island to live on, in most senses of the word. not a whole lot of predators, but also, again, like the trees make you pass out. So that's, you know, it's a problem. Yeah, so it's used decoratively, for building if you fossilize it, and it makes you pass out. These are its uses, I think, is basically how this works. Was there any other details that I wrote down? You can probably eat it, like, as a food, but I probably wouldn't do that. Sounds like a bad idea. I guess you can use it in, like, the really, like, gentle sense of, like a calming tea kind of thing, where you put, like, a couple of little, like, drops of it in, and it calms you down. But again, it also probably makes you pass out eventually, so, you know, like, you're calm because you're tired now. So it is what it is. I did see it, but I didn't read it. I meant to, and then I got distracted by shenanigans, and I forgot to actually read it. I should read it. I need to read people's articles. Because I was doing, like, the briefest, like, check of articles, because I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing, please help. But I didn't read in any great detail, because I didn't want to steal people's ideas. I wanted to make sure that I had, like, the idea that I was like, I'm comfortable with this is a good idea. And then, it's like, now I have the idea, like, now I have the core of the idea for my article. I can definitely read all those articles without being worried of plagiarism. Not that I was going to, but I always get worried anyway, and I'd rather just avoid the issue by not reading until I've got it. But I have it now, so now I can read. This is a good thing. I don't think I have any more details about this plant to actually write about here. Aren't binomials and trinomials, like, mathematical distributions? Isn't that a type of, like, algebra? Whatever. And then origin, can't use that. Parent species don't have any of that. Ethnicity, no. Not really. No. No. Right? That's like a no. I'm checking something real quick. Okay, so it doesn't show up anyway. Oh god, that article needs to be edited. Whoo, that's rough. Add that to the list. Reformat. I need to reformat a lot of articles. Maybe I'll take like a... Maybe before the game tomorrow I'll reformat articles instead of doing anything else productive. But like, hey, I've got articles to reformat. I've got to add spaces and line breaks. Rough stuff. Okay. Yes, now is the time! Now's the time. That's what I was hoping for. That was the hope. We've got it. We can now read about New Warsaw's Hogweed. Hell yeah! Woo! Woo! Alright. So, the one thing is, like, the theme is so dark, and then it's just pow. White. Oh, I'm being blinded. You can literally see it on my face. The whiteness. Okay, so let's just drink real quick. Lubricate the throat. Here we go. New Warsaw's hogweed is a plant native to the planet of New Warsaw. It is very invasive and spreads quickly throughout the planet. The first few years of human colonization of New Warsaw, the eradication of the hogweed was the most important thing. I would add in the first few, so like just in the first few years, it was the, yeah, because then it'll read a little better. Okay, biology. New Warsaw's hogweed averages around 3 meters tall, but can even be up to 5 meters tall. The hogweeds have a straight, firm stem that can reach a diameter of 15 centimeters. Leaves are about 50 to 60 centimeters long. In the upper part, the stem divides into a few smaller ones, which are slightly thinner than the main one. Each of the upper stems has inflorescence on top, a cluster of flowers. It resembles an umbrella. The flowers usually are white, yellow, or purple. The plant also has a very big and deep root system. This makes it difficult to eradicate. Yeah, I would say this makes it difficult to eradicate and drains the soil of most of the nutrients needed by other plants. Reports of scout and eradication teams say that areas around hogweed colonies had much less other plants and the soil was dry. Additionally, hogweed seeds are very resilient and can survive extreme conditions. Ooh. Toxin. Ooh. Every part of the plant contains a toxin which serves as its natural defense against insects and pathogens. In contact with human skin, it causes severe burns. The effect of toxin is even greater when the affected skin is exposed to sunlight, especially ultraviolet. It is less dangerous for animals because the fur protects them from sunlight. Right, okay. Depending on the severity of the burns, they can heal in a time between a couple of days and a few years. Ooh. The toxin is also poisonous. When ingested, the animal or person will develop a rash in a matter of minutes, and after about an hour, would start to choke and would die in agony. Ooh. Ouch. Natural enemies. New Warsaw's hogweed has very few natural enemies. Only two things stop it from spreading all over the planet. The first reason is its seasonality. The hogweed dies in late autumn and the seeds don't sprout until mid-spring. The second reason is the only animal who eats it. The human scientists classified it as a bear-fox hybrid. According to their study, the animal produces an enzyme which neutralizes the plant's toxin. Ah, interesting. Human contact. Discovery. New Warsaw's hogweed was discovered in 2270, when the first colonists arrived on the planet. Around the area where the ship landed were a number of hogweed colonies. After a couple of unpleasant encounters, colonists knew they needed to eradicate them if they wanted to live on the planet. Adam ran into that hogweed-like plant and burnt his hand. Dr. Malinowski said that after a few days of treatment and keeping the hand out of the sunlight, he would be okay. The situation showed that we need to get rid of that plant if we want to settle on the planet. Okay. Eradication. Methods of eradication have changed throughout time. In the beginning, it was done by simply cutting the plants down and removing the roots. For safety reasons, people were wearing hazmat suits while working. After a couple of years, it was observed that cutting had little effect on the plant's population. It was spreading too fast. As a response to the plant's fast spread, a new method of eradication was introduced. Fire! People and vehicles with flamethrowers were deployed to hogweed colonies. This method was much more effective than just cutting, but it was still a Sisyphean labor. Okay. Luckily, it was possible to keep them away from the colonies. If you're actually achieving the objective, like if it's actually working and doing something, I don't think that's Sisyphean. I think the entire point of Sisyphean is you're putting in a lot of effort and then nothing happens. You just end up right back where you started. So, like, the cutting would have been trying to, like, act like cut and dig it out with, like, trowels and stuff. That was Sisyphean because you were putting in all this effort and being very careful and it didn't do anything. But if the fire is actually working, I don't think that's Sisyphean. But maybe I don't actually know that. I possibly don't actually know that. Maybe it's a bit more general. No, well, yeah, if it can't be completed, no, I guess it's still Sisyphean then. Burning brought good results, and was able to contain the new Warsaw's hogweed in isolated areas, but it was still a nuisance and a threat. In 2340, scientists developed a substance to kill the plant and stop it from spreading. It worked by killing roots and seeds of the plant. The colonial administration approved its use without hesitation. After a few months, about 90% of the hogweed population was dead, The remaining 10% was in remote areas from which it was unlikely for them to reach settled areas naturally. Ah, okay. Oh, that's fair. That makes sense, because I was thinking purely in terms of, like, the outcome, it just doesn't function. But if you have to keep repeating it, then yeah, I guess there's Sisyphean. So I will retract that confusion. Ooh, that red on that, that's not readable with my eyeballs. Ooh. Uses. Despite the will to get rid of the hogweed, there are attempts to find a use for it. Some people claim they could be a good food for domestic animals. Small-scale experiments were approved by the colonial administration, and they were even successful. It used the enzyme of the bear fox animal to neutralize the toxin in the plant. However, the plant was difficult to contain inside a farm as the seeds were spread by wind. Because of that, the experiment was closed. Okay, so they tried to eat it, realized it killed people, tried to neutralize the thing that killed people. It worked, but it was gonna spread everywhere, so don't do that. Scientific name: the Heracleum novus varsoviensis. Varsoviensis. It's about 3 meters tall. In Warsaw. I'm getting there. Name: the plant received its name due to a similarity to a plant existing on Earth known as Sosnovsky's hogweed. Sosnovsky's hogweed was a plant which caused many problems in Central and Eastern Europe in the second half of the 20th century and in the 21st century. Similarly to the new Warsaw's hogweed, it produced a toxin which caused burns when the affected skin was exposed to sunlight. Words are hard. I forgot it yesterday. Oh no! I mean, I use sidebars too much to forget them. I have to remember the sidebars. It'd be weird if I didn't. Ecological concerns. The hogweed was a part of the plant's ecosystem long before we arrived here. Plants and animals were adapted to life next to it. I'm sure that bringing the species to the verge of extinction will have catastrophic consequences for the planet. We broke the balance. Quite possibly. Because now that fox bear is going to go everywhere. Or, other dangerous creatures who were in those tiny areas with no hogweed have just gone whoosh. And they're all over the place. Hey! Thank you for the follow, Gabrielle WSY. I don't know how to say that in a word. I couldn't roll that into a pronunciation of a word. But welcome, Gabriel. I think it's Gabriel. Sorry. Reading is hard. Thank you for the follow. Oh, got blinded. Ow, boys. Eyeballs. Eyeballs. Yeah, I like it. I like this plant. I like that it's inspired by real, an actual plant, and it's explicitly mentioned. Some parts of it are possibly a little repetitive. So, if, for example, this section here, the discovery, where, in the text it mentions that they need to eradicate it if they want it to live on the planet, and then in the quote, it then repeats again, saying that it repeats the same information. I don't know if there's some kind of way to change that to maybe, because the way that the quote is written makes it sound very in the moment, like someone who knows Adam and Dr. Malinovsky, Malinovsky, is talking about it, and this part, I don't know, maybe there's some other way to word it that sounds a bit more natural and casual. I don't know. Yeah, good morning, Gabriel. How are you? We're reading about hogweed and talking about coral sometimes. Well, we are world building. Ooh. But I do like the article a lot. I do like it. I like the plant. And I like this image of just going ham with the flamethrowers. I'm a fan of that. Yep. That's good. I'm doing well. I'm doing a lot better than I was yesterday. I had a rough day, but, I'm here now. I'm pumped. This is the catch-up stream. And luckily, I've been productive and, good. It's been a good day. Yeah. And then, it'll be, chill. And then, tomorrow I do something else, and then day after I do something else. I do many things. It was a bit hot though, because I had to go out and do like walking. It was gross. Okay, so I wander back to my, oh boy. This looks awful from the main view. We don't look at that. We don't look at the main view. Okay, so I have the characteristics of the coral. I have the uses of it, which also includes that it can be neutralized by a animal, which I'm gonna have to figure out what that is, because I don't know. I'm not sure. I kind of haven't figured that out yet. It's some animal that produces milk, and that's it. I don't have a reason for it to be on that island, but it's there. That or it's like eggs. I don't know, man. Shit. I'm just making more effort for myself. Evolving species. I don't want to have to do that. Okay. Oh no. More species. There's more of them. Oh, bamp. Gonna make you sleepy. I'm not sure if the part about neutralizing the poison would go in the uses or in the characteristics. But I guess, like, since it's following on from a section where it's talking about using the coral deliberately, it kind of makes sense to mention that that is often used hand in hand with a neutralizing agent, which is the milk. Because, like, oh, you know, we're using it as an anesthetic, and, you know, the way to then wake people up from that, if it's gone on for a little bit too long and everyone's a little bit uncomfortable, is you, like, I don't know, burn some milk. And, like, hold it under their nose, and it makes them wake up. Because it smells awful, and it contains that neutralizing agent in it. Stuff like that. So it could go in either section, really. I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure out what the plan is. And actually, I might... Sneaky features. Sneaky features for people who maybe are not Grandmasters of the WorldAnvil Guild. Is that instead of making an article about this animal, because I don't want to yet, at any rate, I can use the new variables that are currently being tested by people who are grandmasters and who are alchemists, and I can use the variable to make a tooltip thing, and then I don't have to write the article. And so I can name the creature, and I can make it a variable, and then you would just hover over it, and it would just show up. I'll be honest, I don't know how this works. Mostly. I'm using it for tooltips currently. So these are the only two that I've made, is I've made ones where you can hover over the like acronym of the thing. Do I know what level? I have no idea. Honestly, no clue. It feels like a fairly important feature, like a very useful feature, because I know I've had problems with having articles that I don't, like, I use tooltips a lot. So I don't know. I have no idea what level of feature variables will be, but I'm going to try and remember they exist and use them in this article for this purpose, because I do not want to write an article about the animal. I think the way it works is that, like, it's either the advanced or the rendered. This one. No, wait. These look at the same thing. I don't know. It's one of these two that lets me basically make it look like an article that you're hovering over, even though it doesn't, like, you can't click through. I'll figure it out, and then I'll put the animals thing in there. And I'll figure out what kind of animal it is. Maybe it's like a platypus. I don't know, man. Shit. Platypuses are cool. Platypi, even. Boy. Australian, I can't remember plurals. And I can just use the variable for that, and then I don't have to write about it. Because, look, I'm okay writing about the plant, because the plant is a, like, defining feature of this island that it's on. Because it's coral, but above water. that's whack, you know? So it's a very important element of the island and its culture. The animal is not. I don't care about the animal. So I don't want to have to write about it if I don't want to. So I don't. To make a variable without a value. You can use them to have every mention so you can... Ooh. Ooh, interesting. Right, that's cool. That's pretty neat. I'm going to have to play... I think what I'm going to need for variables is the tutorial. I'm going to need the codex entry. And obviously, there isn't a codex entry yet because it's still in beta. So once it gets pushed to, you know, main branch, and then like Soulink or someone writes the codex entry about it, then I'll be able to actually use them. Because I'm not a computer science person. So even though I know what a variable is, and have used them before, I don't get what the difference is between the different types of variables, is my issue, unfortunately. Because I use variables in my CSS all the time. I have the colors and the images set. Like, they're all, like, I use variables, but they're basically, like, substitution ones. It's basically like what you described, where, you know, you say, hey, I have a variable's name, and here's its value, and then I just change the value, and it changes everywhere. I know how to use a CSS variable. I don't know what the difference is between all of these. I don't understand. I don't even know how JSON works. Someone's like, Jason can do what he wants. But I figure I'll work it out in time for this. Like, I'll browse the Alchemist Lab, and someone will explain to me how to make it do the thing I want it to do. And then I'll make the creatures thing, and then I'll have it, and it'll be great. Because it'll make my life a little bit easier for this. Because then I'll have this weird animal that I'm only going to use once, but it'll look neat. It'll look cool. And then I can fix a bunch of stuff with other things. Ooh, I have some ideas of how to use it, actually. In a cool way with, like, maps. But not, like, actual maps. Images of my maps. Because then I can remove all the geographic stubs that I made ages ago and replace them with a variable where when you hover over it, you get to see the map of where it is and, like, a one-line description of this is what it is. Ooh, that'll be good, actually. Ooh. I'm gonna have to play around with it. Oh, Jason is unclear. Don't know how that works. Well, I probably should put in the sidebar. What was I gonna put in the sidebar? Oops. I was gonna put in the sidebar the something. Maybe I cannot be around. I don't understand much English. I don't understand something well. I will comment. Oh, that's totally fine, Gabriel. That's totally fine. You are under no obligation to respond or be active in chat. So if all you want to do is just sit and listen and I guess just sort of be like adjacent to whatever I'm doing, like understanding parts of it and just having fun, that I'm doing my job then. Because my point is to, you know, have fun and be creative. And if, you know, having me on in the background, even if you don't understand everything that I'm saying, if that's helping you have fun or be creative, that is a success. So, this is totally cool. Totally cool. And you're from Brazil. Nice. That's pretty cool. So yeah, don't worry about not being able to comment. That's totally fine. There is no harm in that. Okay, so what was I gonna put in the sidebar again? I've forgotten. Oh, it was the thing about this. This bit. This bit. That bit. That bit was sidebar bit. I remember now. Let's take it as a scroll. So, it's this bit. So basically, trait. And I'll remember to change this because it'll look weird. Discuss how the coral has influenced culture. The mask thing, the milk carrying thing, stuff about like fences around forests and such. Those little bits. People aren't allowed to go into coral forests without a companion and a method of either neutralizing the pollen, milk, a slap, mask, or a method of neutralizing the pollen, either milk, a slap, or a mask. Well, it's just a milk or a mask. Milk, a mask. And a way. Alright, time for me. Breaks ending, uni. Alright, see you, Kashtan. Have fun at uni. Oh boy, uni's fun. I'm glad I'm graduated, but I do miss uni, so I'll probably be back. And a way of locating yourself. Like a flare, magic, pathways, breadcrumbs, that kind of thing. The masks can be very fancy, kind of. If you're actually going in, they are very functional, but the use of them has spread to non-forest adjacent areas and events, and so stuff can get really funky. Mainlanders think this is kind of weird. It's mostly a Sunborgan thing. They're gonna think that the Hidzalvans are real weird about it. Hidzaldael, technically. This could be a long section. It depends on how long the main body is, I think. But, you know, you might even make the masks out of coral. The fancy masks are sometimes made out of coral, but the practical ones never are. Never. I'm not sure what they would be made out of. Probably just like cloth. It's like a thick cloth and you just kind of just keep it on. Like we all do. Who knows? Ooh, it's only 1 AM. Okay, I need to... Awesome, okay. Because I'm gonna have to, because I'm gonna be finishing up in a minute. Oh, eyeballs. I'm gonna finish up in a minute because I only streamed for 2 hours. And it is now nearly 1 AM my time, which is the time that I finish. I'm just checking the schedule of people who are streaming at this time, because normally I stream on a Tuesday and raid RPG Dinosaur Bob, but it's Wednesday and he's not streaming anyway, so who streams on Wednesdays? Technically it's a Thursday now, but Wednesday. Inflame and Lathan. Okay. Awesome. Alright. So that means since it's 1 AM and Lathan is actually live, then we will end up raiding Lathan, I think. And then we'll probably end up being joined in that by Greg's watchers as well. We'll just kind of get comboed together. Okay, yep. Lathan is ready to go. And so that means I think we will wrap it up here. So, thank you all for coming. This was a very sort of chatty, brainstormy stream as opposed to an actual writing stream. Normally, my article streams are a little more of me actually writing articles, but I needed to figure out the idea first, and So I got there eventually. I think I know where the article is going to go from here, and hopefully I'll finish it in the next week or so. We'll see. Yeah. Hopefully I'll see many of you around in the future. I'm going to real quickly say our raid call for those who are unfamiliar. Our raid call is get bready. The bread thing is, it's the bread thing. It's fine. And today we will be raiding Lathan, who is currently doing world building stuff. Because world building is cool. World building, I think my mouse disappeared. Oh my god. Yeah, so they're doing general world building using WorldAnvil as well. And so, you know, we'll be continuing basically what we're doing right now, but over there. So yeah, thank you for coming. Hopefully you will have a lovely day, no matter what it is that you are doing with it. And hopefully I shall see many of you around in the future. Goodbye. Bye. Yep. See ya. Ah, come on. There it goes.